It's right here. Is there anybody in here who has any doubts about the connection between cannabis and wellness? Raise your hand. We will treat you immediately. My wife is such a profound believer in this newfound realm, and as you've heard in previous sessions, we're still constrained on the science side. America is so behind the curve. We get our experimental pot from some random farm in Mississippi. There's nobody in this room who doesn't know better pot than that pot. And the published reports are skimpy. We are left with anecdotal evidence about the impact, the wellness impact of stuff that everybody in this room has personal evidence of and experience of. So, we have gathered a panel that will address these august issues. We're sorry, we had a medical doctor who was going to prescribe, as it were, from this podium, but I'm left with our experts, and we will begin with expert number one. Introduce yourself. Hi. Tell us why you're here.
My name is Dean Waters. I'm the CEO of a company called Flowertown. Flowertown is all about the new consumer, from a storytelling platform to a unique influencer network, as well as an ad agency. I come from a vast background in media, as well as storytelling for the past 30 years. And we are bringing that to cannabis, and I encourage you to check out flowertown.com, as well as anybody interested to learn more about what we're doing. Hopefully we'll get that today, but I think we're going to be cut short with the panel. But anyways, I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Hey, one. One.
Can you hear me? All right.
Hi, my name is.
She's toying with you.
My name is Dan Brownstein. I'm the founder of Grassfed. We host cannabis-themed events in Southern California and also incorporate different types of cannabis elements into private events, weddings, corporate events, birthday parties, etc. We believe in a smoke-free approach, and we specialize in smoke-free solutions. We host events in Los Angeles for over 2.5 years, so we have some experience in social consumption. Our next event is June 1st, and we're hosting a brunch and a trivia event in West Hollywood. Check us out at grass.la. Thank you.
Hi, how's it going? My name is Aaron Ramirez. I'm a mobile massage therapist. My business is Bodywork by Aaron. I service LA, Orange County, and I incorporate CBD massage into my practice. That's me.
Good morning, my name is Andrea Drummer. I am the food editor for Cannabis MD. As well, I'm a cannabis chef and one of the recipients of one of the first on-site consumption license given out by West Hollywood, where I am both partner and executive chef there. So look forward to that exciting event and hope that you guys will come out and join us.
Good morning. My name is Varuni Palacios. I'm the head of growth at Miss Grass. We are a contextual commerce platform, which means we have an online content site where we create and tell stories about women in cannabis, and we also have an online CBD shop where we curate products from stress to pain to sleep to PMS to sex and beauty and on. Prior to joining Miss Grass, I was the head of social for Goop here in LA, and I'm excited to see what the conversation is like today.
Awesome. So I think we are missing Jessica, our last panel, but anyway, good morning everyone. My name is Dr. Jacqueline Nguyen. I'm a retired clinical compounding pharmacist. For the past 21 years, being a clinical compounding pharmacist, it makes me realize that drugs do not heal disease. So for that, I realized the last 5 years when I embarked on this cannabis journey with my patient, and the first years was really difficult. A lot of my colleagues or patient or even people would tell me that I'm promoting drugs, I'm promoting bad drugs. And they would make all kinds of comments at me for what I'm trying to share the story, what this wonderful plants can do for your body. So 5 years later now, being in charge of 5 successful companies, all involving health, wellness, and beauty. So the 2 companies that are intertwined that relating to CBD is Ansahara, and is all purely CBD product that I create and formulate with a team of doctors of mine that work together, and we're doing wonderfully. And we just moved into a 12,000 square footage headquarter building because of what I have been doing for the past 5 years with CBDs on my patient. So literally at the new headquarter, I can be able to have patients that have 6 months to live that could walk out of our building and cancer-free with cold pressed green juice and CBDs, and along with my supplement and my cancer coaching to help them. So we are saving lives and we are healing every day with my patient that coming to the clinic. But the wonderful things about it is the last 5 years with any patient that I take on, I do it for free because I'm capable and able to. And that's the wonderful feeling, is that at least they're not gonna die, and at least they know that this is not some kind of crook doctor that is just gonna take their money or bill their insurance for chemo, radiation, and surgery or whatnot. So I'm very excited and passionate on what I'm doing, and I'm very excited to share with the panel or ask the panel all kinds of wonderful things that they have done in their space. So with I will start out with Dan. So can you share with us some of the tips that you could incorporate cannabis into your event and social setting?
Absolutely.
So first and foremost, when you think about incorporating cannabis, you need to think about different factors. First and foremost, you need to think about your crowd, whether your crowd are beginners or rather more experienced. Second, edibles are very tough to handle during a social setting. So unless you have someone that control the consumption and guide the guest, it will be kind of difficult to control everyone's dosage. So the first tip is obviously to have microdosed dishes or edibles or bites rather than very potent edibles. I would say 2.5 is the best way to go in most social events. Drinking or drinkables, if you will, are becoming more and more popular these days. So it's pretty rooted in our society to hold a drink in our hand, right? Everyone likes to hold a cup of wine or a bottle of beer, and today we have more options in terms of cannabis drinks. CBD, THC, some are terpene infused as well. Not to mention that the onset time is shorter, so they start the effect after 20-30 minutes rather than an hour or more with edibles sometimes. So I think drinkables are the future of cannabis consumption in a way. The third tip is what we believe in, which is the smoke-free approach. All cannabis, all venues in California don't allow any indoor smoking, and when you have edibles, tinctures, or vaporizers, then you basically can consume cannabis in any environment, including indoor. So eliminating this hot box environment and having a more clean environment, again, with vaporizers, edibles, and drinkables.
Thank you, Dan. So I guess going along with the drinkable and the edible, I'm gonna ask Chef Andrea, what are some of the food dishes example that you have made that taste wonderfully and that are accepted by your audience
All of
with CBD or THC?
Now, what I try to do is consult with my clients to get a direction of where they want to go in terms of their dietary concerns, what the experience that they want to create. I think it's important to listen to your client, of course, and then kind of get a beat on what's happening in the community of edibles as we move forward with these on-site consumption spaces and concepts. And so, what I always say is that I was a chef first. That was the primary thing. I was a chef before I was a cannabis chef. And so it's always been important to me that the food tastes good first and foremost, and that it's not inundated with the pungent taste of cannabis, that you would have a great culinary experience before you have your elevated experience. And you can do that, with the technology that we're experiencing right now, with all of the things that's happening in the culinary industry, we're able to apply those things to infusing food. And so you don't necessarily have to taste the cannabis, and we're also pairing specific strains with different culinary cuisines that you don't have to get that pungent flavor profile. So it's really changing the face of edibles and drinkables, and even vapes. So it's a really exciting space to be in.
Awesome, thank you, Chef Andrea. So my next question is for Varuni. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Thank you. So at Miss Grass, you have a bit of an unorthodox lens on wellness. What is that position, and what have you taken it? Why have you taken it on that path?
An orthodox lens on wellness is definitely Miss Grass. I think what we strive to do is remove judgment from the situation and really strive to educate ourselves and our consumers about everyone's varying definition of wellness, which used to be wine and has since come into yoga and meditation as a practice, and now also involves cannabis. So it's not about judging anyone's definition or version of wellness as much as it is for us about understanding and exploring what everyone's unique definition of wellness is, where they do it, when they do it, how they do it, who they do it with. Yeah.
Thank you. So for Dean, the letters CBD, that's my passionate letter too, is now a brand in itself, which is often open for misinterpretation or interpretation for new consumer. How does a legit CBD brand rise above the noise to reach their audience?
So obviously we all know the word CBD, right? And with the descheduling, with the Farm Bill, I think, and I kudos to Ms. Grass for what you guys do with curation of products and safety and building trust with consumers. We just believe at Flowertown and as marketers that now's the time to build brands. There's a lot, what we like to say, snake oil, which is a common used word right now within the CBD world, and the true benefits, and people are mixing CBD where it's breaking down. It's not really serving those benefits, which I'm sure that you're seeing on the medical side. Is it comes down to storytelling, and it comes down to authentic, sincere storytelling, and brands starting to share the benefits, the health and wellness benefits, and we just think it's time to start building brands, and with that takes money, right? And you're not going to build your brand through your own social feed. You got to find a path forward and get creative, and not to tout Flowertown, but we're building a toolkit for brands through traditional ways that we've found by being a health and wellness brand serving the general market. We're skewing adults 35 plus. And, we're getting behind brands that we believe in, that we've vetted, that we believe are trustworthy and are doing good work. But, at the end of the day, that word CBD is becoming its own brand, and I think a lot of consumers are, whether they're finding them at CVS or even in a dispensary, don't really know what they're getting into. And I think, the marketing and the storytelling outside of the dispensary needs to start happening in ways that currently aren't being served.
Definitely. Thank you, Dean. Just a little quick share with what Dean is sharing. Yeah, building a brand is definitely what I need to do. In the past 5 years, that's what I'm doing. And just in the Vietnamese community, I was the first one to share about it. And then being a clinical compounding pharmacist, sharing about CBD was a big taboo 5 years ago. But now it's being accepted in my community because of I have a voice, and because I'm consistent on building the brand, and on top of it, my patient benefit from the brand, from the product that I create. But then now I start seeing a lot of other companies out there popping up, selling CBD, and when I hear them coming to me and asking me, why is this CBD taste like this, or it doesn't work on me like your brand does, and when being a formulator, and I look at it and I'm like, they say it's water soluble, and when it's supposed to be CBD hemp oil or CBD tincture. So it's just amazing how there's a lot of brand out there, or there's a lot of company popping up out there with CBD, and yet I don't know if is even CBD in there. Thank you, Dean. So for Aaron, you are a massage therapist.
I am. I'm a healer.
Awesome. We do have a massage and a Zoe Beauty beauty lounge at our 12,000 square footage headquarters, and I have a TV show. Would love to bring you on my space.
Absolutely.
So can you share with all of us about how do you incorporate healing and CBD oil into your everyday practice?
Absolutely. So, as you know, some of you get massages, right? My massage is a lot different than most. I incorporate a lot of intention into my practice, how I'm gonna heal you through your breath, through your process of healing. Everybody's different, right? We all take in CBD differently. We all do things differently. So when I try to incorporate my practice, I get to know you a little bit through what you're feeling. That's it. No speaking, just breathing. And then when I incorporate the CBD, it just takes it to that next level, right? It's kind of hard to explain, but if you take CBD and you exercise, it's almost like that. Like you just feel free, you're letting go, you're letting things melt. It's just grounding you because it's protecting your neuroprotectedness, right? So therefore you're able to let go completely, connect to every muscle, emotion, frustration, anger, and then that's exactly how the CBD just allows it to flow. So I think that's, I don't know how else to describe it, but there you go.
Thank you,
He's
Aaron.
being very modest. He kind of takes your soul, reworks it, and gives it back to you. I've seen him at work, and I've been a recipient of one of his massages. You're being very modest.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Chef Andrea. So the next question is for Varuni. What do you view as the most important consideration for someone looking to explore cannabis as a tool for wellness?
I think the most important consideration is definitely education, which we've all sort of talked about here. There's a spectrum of consumption, whether it be CBD as the gateway or THC and the full spectrum that cannabis has to offer. We reach women between 25 and 45, all of which who are long time uses of THC, to women who are hearing about CBD as the wellness ingredient of the moment, and who are somewhat uneducated or unaware about the benefits of it, where it comes from. Will CBD get me high is the biggest question that we spend our time answering. And so right now, I think the most important consideration is to be a source of education so that our consumers can make the most informed decisions about what sort of cannabis practice is the best for them, and to also be a part of owning their usage and being proud of that, and our efforts, I think all of our efforts towards destigmatization of the use of cannabis.
Awesome, thank you. For Dean, considering the barrier with THC brands are faced with, how will the new consumer be introduced to cannabis health and wellness benefits?
Again, it's, you're going to hear from me today, it's a lot about storytelling, it's a lot about education, it's, the state legalized marijuana and nobody talks about it, right? It's interesting that there's really no public awareness. So for us, it's about a smart approach. It's about, an educational approach with, starting low and going slow, and again, whether it's the medical benefits or the recreational, healthier lifestyle approach. But it's about education, it's about storytelling, and I think that's the one thing that the industry needs to get behind, and it's not about, exploiting a lifestyle that is fun and just getting high, right? I think there's a massive amount of people that, there's a chunk of people we like to call acceptors that would take something from you or I, but they're not ready to walk into a dispensary to make a purchase. Why? Just because there's a stigma. They're uncomfortable. They're intimidated. So, it's, THC has its own issues with the barriers. We, like to believe that, we're finding ways as a third party that's non-plant touching, that's not a retailer, that's committed to education and committed to doing things a certain way with never showing partaking or never saying certain words, and kind of steering the course of what today's consumer, how they ingest media, how they ingest marketing, what ways they're spoken to and what ways they find acceptable. But it's, there's a lot. There really is, and there's a lot of work to do, but, it's got to start with content, with storytelling, and an approach that is approachable for that new consumer.
Awesome, thank you. The next question is for Dan. Dan, why smoking is one of the biggest hurdle to making cannabis socially accepted?
All right. Yeah, let me clarify. I used to smoke for 15 years, cannabis, and I quit smoking because of health reasons. I'm a runner, and I looked for healthier alternatives to smoke. Cannabis users tend to forget that cannabis odor and smoke is something that can intimidate some other folks that don't use cannabis or otherwise use cannabis but don't smoke it. So it could be a big problem in a social setting when you have smokers and people that are intimidated from the smoke. That's first and foremost. Second, I think we all know that smoking has its negative stigma, and we're trying to change the stigma. And I think eliminating smoking would be a big part of it. It's healthier way of consuming cannabis. It's more precise. It's also more tasty. Ask Andrea. When you taste the terpenes of a specific strain, it's better to vape it rather than smoke it. It's like a fine wine or a fine steak that you need a certain temperature to enjoy its both medicinal and recreational benefits. Same with cannabis. It has its own temperature range that goes very well with cannabis. And part of the challenge is to how can we change it? Because smoking is very iconic, right? We all saw Brad Pitt or Jack Nicholson, for that matter, smoking a J in one of their movies, right? But we never saw them, take a sublingual tincture or holding a vape in their hand, right? And I think I hope that it will happen, but smoking, obviously, it's sacred, and we're smoking cannabis for so many years that it's definitely a process, a long change. It's not going to happen very, very quickly. With that said, I heard that 1/3 of sales in dispensaries are vape pens. So it's definitely getting out there, although vape pens is definitely not something that I personally recommend. I think other type of vaporizers, as well as, again, edibles, drinkables, tinctures, are safer than both vape pens most vape pens in the market, as well as smoking.
Thank you, Dan. So since we only have about 3 to 4 minutes left, I just wanted to see if the panel, any one of you guys have any things to share for 30 seconds, 40 seconds, so that way the rest of us can be able to hear your thoughts and things like that, and then we can wrap up. So we start with Varuni.
I really liked what you said. I think, so this year at Miss Grass, we developed something called a higher standard, which is essentially us being really transparent about the criteria that we use to curate and select the products that we sell in the spirit of education and information. Things like product ingredients to lab results to, usage and need states. So I think, again, as brands, our biggest role in the industry for the next several years is going to be to take a position of education and information to help our consumers all be informed, because information is power as well as education, and that's what's going to be the change in terms of stigma and social acceptability and helping everyone define their own version of wellness.
Definitely. Thank you. Chef Andrea?
I just think it's important to bear in mind that we're new to this, and cannabis is true to this. This plant has been around a very long time, and to that end, we're still kind of in the exploratory stages of being reacquainted with it. And it's a very exciting time that we get to think about it in a different way in terms of wellness and being very intentional about our delivery of the plant and how we use it and how we think about it. So again, it's a very exciting time, and we just have to have an open mind and continue the educational component of getting the masses acquainted with it. So.
Absolutely, I agree with that. Because for me, as a healer, I think it's important to take in the physical, right? How you're standing, look at yourself now, and are you standing correctly? Are you sitting correctly? Are you ingesting your food correctly? Are you consuming your medicine correctly, right? Take all this into perspective and try to heal yourself, because this plant will heal you if you let it, right? Whether you put it on your skin, you eat it, on your hair, wherever you choose to, right? Smoke it. We all have our own ways to using it, and we all have to figure it out through healing your mind, body, and spirit. So don't forget. And follow me on Instagram, Bodywork by Aaron.
I would say one of our goals is to be a more responsible society when it comes to cannabis consumption. Consume cannabis in a mindful way, with intention. If we want to shift the stigma around cannabis, we have to prove the world that it's a better substance than what they thought. Better than alcohol, better than opioids. And in order to do it, we need to be responsible. Again, consume mindfully. Be active, not only stoners are using cannabis, but you can be a runner, you can be a lawyer, you can be a mom, and still be a good parent like myself and consume cannabis. So shifting the stigma is definitely something very important to what we do, and let's be all responsible and mindful to cannabis consumption.
If I can add, at Flowertown, we're trying to cast a really wide net. And we're looking at working with brands and other companies and folks like Miss Grass to create kind of a uniform front, right? Because there's a lot of work to do, and and especially in California, you have a massive black market issue, right? You have illegal retailers way exceeding what is legal. And when you're going to a black market retail store, you're buying black market products. Are they harmful? Are they lab tested? No, they could be harmful. So I think there's a lot of public service. There's marketing, there's storytelling, there's public service, there's, as an industry, and at Flowertown, we're looking at getting with people to do things together, because it is expensive and it does become cost prohibitive to do certain things. So, for us, it's about, there's a lot of work to do. And again, we're all here because we'll never see another opportunity like this in our lifetime. But there's constant stumbling blocks, and the runway gets longer, and you got to take a step back, and you got to readjust. And I think it's more important than people working in silos is people working together to make sure that the opportunity is not the core consumer. The opportunity is the general public. For what we see, numbers of 71% of adults 21 plus are not walking into a dispensary. And a big chunk of the ones that are shopping at illegal dispensaries. So it's just, there's a lot of work. We're marketers, we know how to move the needle. We've all, at my team, come from very, very crowded markets, whether it's an Apple product or redefining car brands or, large CPG. I mean, and we can move that needle, and we know we can move the needle in this industry, but we can't do it alone. And I think there's a coming together that should happen. And we chip away at it every day, but I think education, public awareness, information, storytelling is imperative.
Definitely. So are we on time? No. Yeah. Sorry, guys. So can't take any questions. And thank you, everyone at the panel, for coming and sharing with us what you do and how you do great at it. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you.